1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rites of Binding Inheritance. This is episode 7, I think. Who really knows? Because I don't keep track that often. So we don't have too many new things to talk about, so we're just going to go into who's going to recap for today, and we got a number 6. So that is Piper. And you have some audio issues, so we're going to go to the next person. We'll go right above you. Taylor, you're up.
All right, so at our last session, we finally got through all of the tests and trials and turmoils that Sirius Deacon set up for us. We got past the golem, we got past the potion room, and we finally got up to the roof where we found Sirius Deacon frozen in a sort of time froze bubble where it was devoid of all color, all motion, such and such. After quite a bit of shenanigans with testing the time bubble, seeing what items were affected, weren't affected, if magic could go in and come out, things like that, we finally discovered a couple things. The first thing we discovered was in Sirius Deacon's notes from his lab that there was in fact a spell that Sylvia and Alabella, one of our NPCs, could perform together that could reduce the time bubble a little bit to allow us to go in, take Sirius, and then bring him out, but that was quite a risky move, so we decided against that. We also discovered that our dragon companion Lionrith is not affected by at least that specific time crystal or that kind of time dilation. And so we found this out. He breathed his frost breath into the bubble. It acted normally, and then through some very careful testing, we had him dip his toe in there and then his head in there. And when we found out he was unaffected, Lionrith was able to go in, pull Sirius Deacon out, and that is kind of where we ended last session, was having Sirius Deacon coming out still with this large field of time dilation still active on the roof of his tower in Maple Grove.
Yeah, and that's where we'll pick right up at. Sirius Deacon basically kind of like on the ground as he gets up and is trying to collect himself after the situation that he was in. And he dusts himself off, kind of readjusts himself, and then looks to the group of you and asks, "Can I ask why everyone is here?"
Well, we would have been here sooner if it wasn't for those stupid tests you put up. You really need to kind of go through with Sir Thomas over here what qualifies as a life-threatening emergency. Because it wasn't until we got up here that he told us that you had been like this for 2 weeks now? A week, at least?
2, I think.
So
he looks a little confused, and then he's like, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Let's go and walk up and go, I don't know what you're not understanding. You've been frozen in that bubble for 2 weeks. We just came in with our little dragon friend and saved you. You understand you were messing with time magic, but you're confused about the fact that you could have been frozen for 2 weeks and it might not have felt like 2 weeks to you? What's wrong with this guy? I thought he was supposed to be a genius.
Gorfrak holds their finger up to let's fix the timeline, and that will kind of tell you why we're here. All right. You helped us freeze time at the castle during the siege at Lux, correct?
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
It was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. How quickly after that did you return here and do this experiment with your time crystal?
Honestly, not long after. I prepared my necessary components and ingredients, which I had received from Lux after I was there. I had planned to do it earlier, but the events there had delayed me a moment. I then conducted it, and it wasn't until there was a man. I think it was a satyr of some sort. He
Fucking
made his way up the tower, I wasn't
I
able to
just like
catch
to
too much
toss
of
in
the
that wasn't
incident
me this
before
time.
I was here with you guys.
Wait, when did the satyr? Did he come up to you while you were doing your experiment?
Yes, I was in the middle of it.
I hate that
Mhm.
guy. I hate him so fucking much.
I pat Fern on the shoulder. Did he say his name?
Oh, no. Yes, our hand raiser.
It sounds like our player Piper is having trouble with her audio because she's trying to speak and it's not coming through. I would like to put our stream on pause for 1 second so we all can, or so that she can leave and come back and we not screw up our whole camera setup.
We'll go to a quick pause here.
Okay.
Time out.
One. And we're back, folks.
Welcome back. All right. He says, no, I wasn't. He didn't say anything. I saw him there. He cast a spell. I was in the middle of my own. I couldn't react to it.
Oh.
So you
Okay.
saw a powerful warlock that was a satyr.
Yes.
Oh my god.
He conjures up a image of him, and you've seen this guy before.
It is Zeglodas.
It is Zeglodas. The last time I saw this guy, he broke the final seal that unleashed Valdara.
Yep.
At the same time, he also beat this guy up a bunch and did capture him, only for Regulus, the second heir to the throne, freed him. Which, in doing so,
That's the guy who killed Gorfrak.
Yeah.
All right.
You have any idea?
Gorfrak puts her hands up again to her riled up compatriots. And she says, we'll get to that. He just came out of a freeze. He needs a minute. So
I need a minute.
to CRS, Gorfrak says, the siege was 2 weeks ago. And that time, Lux has pretty much fallen. All of the people have moved out. The royal seat is probably going to move. And
basically the city can't sustain itself anymore since all the magic has been disabled.
Precisely. And so we've been sent on a quest essentially to help combat Valdara's release and all of this outpouring after the crown was essentially crippled.
Yes, I'm not sure how familiar you are with how Valdara was sealed, but basically that is our quest to help seal her again.
Yes, this is eerily familiar.
Familiar.
Well, yeah, this is leading to what seems like a second creation war. You should know this. I can certainly assist you. And he was looking around for Sir Thomas, who's floating nearby, and he says, "Welcome back, sir." And he's like, "Thank you." And he like grabs him, and then like fidgets him around, spins him around into a specific spot, and then draws some sort of arcane symbol on the back, which deactivates him. And he takes off like a panel and rummages around inside of it and pulls out a purplish, like kind of like gem-like structure. It is like in the shape of a wolf or a fox. It's kind of hard to tell just based off of it, but it's in the shape of kind of like a ring. And he holds it out to Sylvia.
That's the aspect, isn't it?
Yes, this is the aspect of intelligence, is it not?
It is, or Sir Thomas, if you wish to.
That's
also
Sir
get
Thomas.
specifics.
Wait, what?
I'm looking at Sirius and I'm saying you had the essence of intelligence and you weren't using it to further.
It wasn't
your
on your person?
No one expects that little thing to have anything important in it. None of you did.
My
No
concern,
I would have expected you to keep it on you to augment your abilities even more.
I already have enough skill and
I'm not sure
adept
how much.
wisdom and-
I'm not sure how much augmentation it has because Sir Thomas is kind of an idiot.
No. It augments the individual's ability. If he used magic to create Sir Thomas, that's different.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah,
You're really
I had used it before, especially if I need to do some complex calculations and things. It certainly helps, but not all the time. It's certainly more helpful to have an extra head around.
Two heads are better than one, I
understand,
suppose.
Buff.
Can't believe we went through
Appreciate your
all that
sacrifice.
stupid shit, and it was in Thomas the whole time.
So
And
what?
you think we would have been able to just fetch it out without Sirius's help?
Probably not.
I think if you guys
I'm
would
so
have just kept
frustrated.
letting me throw rocks at it, we could have broken it open and just got to it already. I'm just going to remind everybody that I had good solutions. I thought of Lionrith, and I thought of just beating the hell out of Sir Thomas.
Fern, could you hand me the dampening cloth, please?
I don't have it.
Is it not in the bag of holding?
Oh no, wait, let me check. Did we actually get that? Did we
You
get that
specifically
back, or did we
demanded
give
to
it
keep
to the
it.
church?
You kept it.
Yeah, you
you
have
it.
requested to keep it.
I have really bad memory. Yeah, I'll reach way into the bag and run it around and pull out. Okay, here.
Yeah, it's called a blinding cloth.
Excuse me.
Well, I'm just making sure it's specificity.
While they're fiddling with the aspect, I want to ask Sirius, what did Gorfrak explains who Zeglados is, and that was the person who came and talked to him. Did he ask you for anything, or what was the visit with him like? Was it like an attack, or was it like he came into your good graces and then turned on you?
One thing to add, Piper, if you do have the aspect, add it to your inventory. It has a thing in D&D Beyond.
Okay.
Deacon replies, I only saw him briefly. He probably came similar to how you did through the different places in my tower, which if you had any adept skill and wizardry, you should have passed with flying colors.
I look
And
at
the
Fern.
wisdom of dealing with this problems in them.
We clearly managed, but
we had some intelligence, but I don't know if wisdom's the right word. Oh, look at Fern.
It was
some of us
fun.
have wisdom.
Fern over there
Hey.
limping around after losing half of their HP.
Okay, the golem was kind of rude. It was kind of rude. I went up to knock and I got smacked across the room instead. Also, onions from water? Bad. Don't eat them.
Berry fruit.
We don't know.
Only
about
if
that.
you know.
hate it.
Only I know.
When she talks about the golem, I say, by the way, would you happen to have anything to help with her reduced stamina in this moment?
And me, please.
I do not. I'm not a doctor. I'm a wizard.
Obviously.
Fair, but you do have
Very
like
helpful.
5,000 gold piece ingredients just laying around.
Anyways, while this is important, he's not going to be able to fix that. We noticed something strange in the celestial plane.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Lionrith.
How often you travel there through your doors, or how familiar you personally are, but it didn't look as we expected.
It was all froze.
He
Just like the bubble.
And of course, like Lyrith is playing in the bubble at the moment.
Aw.
And
Can we get him to grab the time crystal shards?
You could ask him.
I'm
Are
gonna
we
ask him to
sure
do
that's
that.
a good idea?
No,
Second.
but I want to see it.
Before you do, actually, you ask him, and then Dinka intervenes and says, let's not quite yet.
That's a wee bit bold, fruit eater.
Hey, it was an onion. That's not a fruit.
Well, let's go down to that room and take another look at that situation first, and then we probably should take a look at what your friend can do.
Yay, more fun with portals.
Yeah, did Zeglanos just like come up and disrupt the spell, or did he do something specifically to make you get all froze?
Well, he starts heading down the stairs, and I assume you're following all after. Yes?
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt, but several minutes ago we had a viewer request a shout out. So shout out to G_note3. Thanks for viewing.
Great job. Anyway, so you head down the stairs and you go into the second floor, where you have all the different portals are at, the gateways to them that lead to the different planes of existence. And he is talking, well, I haven't been in that room for some time, as I typically just use it for if someone needs my assistance. Typically, they like to try to get my advice without paying for it, so if they complete my little puzzle here, I get something out of it, and I'll help them with whatever they need. And these breeds are extremely rare and dangerous, so all of them in their own unique way.
All of them?
Yes, all of them. For example, the elemental ash that you get from the elemental plane of fire, that one, if you use it properly, can start like a fire that could set a city ablaze quite easily.
Any fire could set a city ablaze.
Yes, another, for example, the void shards. They touching them will disintegrate you immediately if it's.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't want to touch it.
So, Fern, you cannot be within 5 feet of that.
Hey,
well,
I was responsible when I did the whole ingredient helping.
Roll deception.
Roll deception. Shit.
How about the fairy fruit?
Everyone can roll insight if they wish.
Hey,
Yes, please.
that's a pretty good deception.
Yeah, there's some pretty good insights.
Oh,
Like
fuck.
27.
Let's.
It's
Damn
never
you.
gonna beat me.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, Sylvia knows too. Fuck.
You find Deacon's thing.
This
At a
feels
high
like
insight without the ring.
Yeah, this feels
Right.
like an appropriate role here because
He gets a
I
plus
feel like
8.
Fern is the worst liar in the whole world.
Well, that's lucky for you. He's not.
And
I'm
yet she
also
lies the
a bad-
most.
So Deacon continues forward, doesn't pay too much mind to this. Let and Sylvia, you know Fern. She knows she did something wrong at this point, and she is doing that little like looking around with her eyes. Yeah, she's not telling the truth. She did something during that process that she has not told anyone.
She's lying straight through her crooked little tusks.
Yeah. So
Fern, I know that look. What did you do?
Nothing. We're
I
learning
know
shit.
that's a
We got.
lie.
We'll talk about it later.
Well, like some other things, like the surface water that you get from the edge of reality. That one is interesting.
I got splash.
That one can deal with some like memory issues. Sometimes you'll gain memories that don't belong to you or someone else. It can be very odd. I don't really understand the properties of it myself.
We should splash.
Ethereal wisps, they'll make you fade out of reality entirely. They'll just no longer exist if you ingest them. Fairy fruit is another interesting one. That one, if you eat it, you can no longer eat food anymore, like the normal plane. So, in essence, you are connected to the spirit realm for eternity.
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
Ern, why are you so shocked by this?
Just really bad.
I was going to say, you sound awfully concerned for someone who doesn't know anything and who is not
Fern,
being
did
a
you
liar.
eat fairy fruit?
Hi, Boogie.
He continues going. Again, he's not fully aware of kind of what's going on here. And he goes, yeah, one thing that's really interesting is it does actually extend your lifespan. That's one of the properties of it. But again, the spirit realm works very differently. It's all going in there is kind of dangerous. And that's why Sir Thomas has this field around him that allows you to enter in and not really feel a lot of the effects there. You can go in there for a minute and be there in our plane for an hour. It's or vice versa. You could be there for an hour and only be gone a minute. It's weird.
It doesn't seem that weird.
Well, yes, of course. I mean, you are a cleric dedicated to Zaman. You wouldn't have that kind of expertise. Now, let's take a look at the celestial plane. He opens up the gateway. And he looks inside and he's like, oh, this is an issue. I was there, I think about a month or two ago, before the tournament, and it was fine. This is very much in turn with how time works in that this is completely frozen. Very similar to what's happening on top of my tower. The effects, I don't know how to resolve them, but it would be advantageous to maybe experiment and solve.
Well, maybe Linrith could go in there and poke around if he ain't affected by things.
He's the one who fished you out of the circle where you're frozen.
Yes, you mentioned that. And he looks over to him and who clearly is not really invested in wanting to go into that place.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And he looks to him and says, would you care to head in? And he goes, I don't think it's a good idea.
Why not?
And he just, it's like a feeling.
Oh, I get those. I don't have those.
Good to know.
He looks deep in thought and says, this is certainly strange. Well, let's head back up. And he immediately goes back up the stairs.
I'd like to note that this entire time in the background, I am being wildly unimpressed. I'm not saying anything because I have gained some sense of self-preservation, but I'm still stuck on the fact that he had a giant portrait of himself. And he then walked down the stairs to this obviously time-frozen area and went, this is a problem. Like, not a helpful statement. So I'm just kind of like in the background rolling my eyes this entire time.
So, Cirrus, what were you attempting a dunamancy spell? Why were you frozen on the top of the roof?
Well, it's very interesting. It was dunamancy of some type. It's most of the spells that I've worked on and created have been of my own making. I mean, no one else has created such a spell of anything. The one up there was supposed to crystallize time in a physical object. Many different aspects of magic and like divine, arcane, and nature magics, they all have a physical property component. You should have learned this when you are collecting the ingredients. Each of those are physical aspects of those planes. They have their own sources, and thus, if you distill them all together, you can create raw magic out of it. This is my attempt to create something similar. I would imagine that it has more properties than I had imagined, and then as you get to the top, he gestures to it. By breaking it, it might have had other properties and affected the time around it. Now, if we can find a way to stabilize it, we could bring it back, the time back together. Now, I don't know if this is the property of everything else, as in if time is stopped in another bubble, for example, such as the celestial plane, if there's also a rock like this that is broken. I don't know if that's the case. Anyway, where's Leinrith? Can you walk in there for me? And he doesn't have any issues with it, so he does, and kind of has this weird kind of glowy effect and seems immune to the situation. This is quite interesting. He kind of like kneels down and look and take a closer examination. He is truly unaffected by it.
How could this be?
He's super cool.
Nothing much.
Well, that's been established, but like, what's the causation of its super coolness?
Sirius Deacon is cool. Canon.
Hey, Sylvia.
Leinrith is cool canon.
Scratch that. Lionrith is cool. Canon.
Yes, Fern?
How do you discover a new kind of magic?
You're asking the wrong person. You should be asking Cirrus.
I don't want to talk to him. He's scary.
Cirrus,
I think he smells weird.
We're going to shove Fern over to him.
We just saved him. He owes you a favor.
Facts.
How did you discover a new kind of magic if nobody has done that in a really long time?
Well, no one has ever done it. That should be very specific. Yes. Person raising their hand. I don't know who you are.
I have a follow-up question. How much would that orb be on the black market for how many birds?
She's just asking, or he's just asking because he'd like to know.
A lot of them. Are you talking about the body of Sir Thomas? Are you talking about the broken crystal over there?
Yeah. I'd like an itemized list of how much each of those things are worth in units of birds.
Entirely unique. This is something that does not exist in my knowledge.
So at least $5 and about 20 pigeons.
I would say you're looking at like 1 million pigeons.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
I apologize, Cirrus. This is Let. They are a monk. And then and this is Fern, Gorfrak, and also Kai.
We've met before.
Kai's
yes,
new.
there's some of you I've met, some of you I haven't. And some of you I've forgotten. Well, okay. So
that's reassuring.
To answer your question, have you read my book?
Me?
Yes.
No. I don't read super good, but Sylvia probably has.
Well, on your way out, you should grab it. I do have a few of them on hand. When he gets away from Leinrith and gets into a big spiel kind of position, like he's fully ready to do a professor at a lecture hall dissertation, that sort of thing.
Can you cut it short, easy to digest? I learned to read 5 years ago, maybe less version.
Well, that's what my book is. Obviously, you haven't read it. So,
I hate him.
Well, it was written for low-level entry into introduction to magic and how it functions. This isn't high-level technical stuff. It's pretty basic. So, magic is created, and we don't really have an idea of where it comes from, other than it just kind of exists. That's raw magic. Raw magic is just an energy. It's very chaotic. It is untamable, and very few creatures can use it naturally. Virios, for example, can.
That's been said about me too.
Okay. As such, there are the three what we call divines. Act as a filter in a way to distill that into forms that we can use, such as what we would call spells. The three sources of these are the divine, arcane, and nature magics, and the gods that are able to do this, these divines, are Ethios, which is the god of the divine magic.
I know him.
Beldara is the one of arcane. She's the goddess of destruction. And Gaia, who is the goddess of nature, who is source of nature magic. Any magic and things that you cast are from these three sources. These magics and spells can be broken up into the schools, such as divination, evocation, and so forth. For example, your healing magic, well, it's evocation. Evocation also falls under the umbrella of blasting things with fire and also healing damage of wounds. It is the energy force and similar properties, just expressed differently. With me so far?
Yeah. Yeah, something about fire.
Exactly. So, when you have those sources, those are pretty much unchanging and immutable. You can't have new magic without a new source. Now, this is where Dunamancy kind of comes in. Dunamancy, which is something I've been researching for some time, has different properties that it has different schools of magic. As in, I can create spells that fit into evocation, divination, etc., and still have the same properties, but they do still come from varying sources of magic. You can kind of see, actually I have, let's not go downstairs yet, but I have another room that can display a magic source. Like when you cast a spell, what the source is and where it comes from. Which is how we're able to identify these. These prisms, you shoot through magic through them, it will display the kind of source it comes from. It's reconverting that magic into something else. And for example, if you have pure divine magic, you could convert it back into raw magic. Yes, Gorfrak.
I just the way I'm playing this in theater of the mind is like Sylvia and Gorfrak are standing behind Ern, hanging on Cirrus Deacon's words, like learning a lot, very interested in this. Kai's probably even there, like even though she's probably read about this, she's probably still like listening just because it's Cirrus. And then Fern's just kind of there, like, oh look, there's still a bird frozen in the.
You mean Let?
No, Fern is like
Both of them
doing her best to listen to Cirrus.
Yes.
But like, oh, look, something more interesting than this adult lecturing me about something.
I also imagine Fern immediately trying to hide behind Sylvia after Sylvia has shoved her to go talk to Sirius.
Yeah. You both have a very accurate grasp of this character.
I think
also, Let is nowhere nearby. They're hanging somewhere off like a railing or something, trying to see how far their spit can fall without actually falling out of their mouth.
Oh, Lyra's fully joining you in this endeavor.
I was thinking standing at the edge of the time bubble, trying to figure out how to get the birds that are stuck in the time bubble.
Probably started that way, hurt their brain, and then walked at least 5 feet away and got distracted by something else.
Just have Linus grab them for you.
That's too easy.
Anyway, back to the other conversation. So he hasn't finished
researching the source, the potential source of Dunamancy. Have you made any progress in that endeavor?
Well, that's where my research is currently working on, which is what I was trying to do with this. If this worked out, which it would appear that it must have, or at least it got close to it. If you have a source like this, then you're able to actually see and have physical components. One additional thing, such as the planes, which kind of act a little differently, is that the planes kind of have their own sources, but they are, again, it's immutable. They're like what I would call a lesser source. Usually they just augment something. For example, the elemental planes, I mean, you can cast fire and shape ice, create lightning. All of those effects are because they exist. If you did not have them, you would not be able to do those properties within magic itself. Understandable so far.
I mean, not to insert ourselves into your work, but since it sounds like Dunamancy is potentially the meeting of the 3 types of established magic,
Doesn't sound anything like that.
Well, we don't know.
It sounds like there's It sounds to me like there's some kind of fourth divine that you guys are just too dumb to figure out.
Well,
Oh, and you have the answer?
I
No,
don't.
but I never claimed to. I just said you were stupid.
Anyway, I mean,
That's a little pot versus kettle, isn't it?
Not to insert ourselves into your work, Cirrus, but and I Warfrak motions to Fern and Sylvia. You've got 3 users of the 3 main types of magic here now. Fern is the religious side, I'm the nature side, and Sylvia is the arcane side. I mean, perhaps we could assist for a little bit. I don't know. That might be
Don't we have
beneficial.
shit to do?
I mean, yeah,
we do,
but I'm
we
also really curious.
We also might want to figure out why the plane of the gods is frozen, and if maybe that is going to come back to bite us in the butt.
And
Gods are
again,
important.
why could Leinrith move through the sphere?
I
Well.
think you should let Lionrith help because he's very obviously a genius.
Or potentially a time
Obviously.
god.
Let's experiment. If he's comfortable walking in this rooftop area, then let's say let him continue to. I know we haven't talked and you're being very quiet, Ellabella, but it is interesting to see you.
We all, you know her?
Yeah, she's
Ignore her. She's annoying.
Let
she's
him
a
speak,
prominent
Len.
archaeologist. I've seen
Oh.
some of her presentations.
So she's legit then.
Yeah, she's a historian.
Just because she's smart doesn't mean she's not obnoxious.
Yeah, she gives like a very like proud kind of look. Like, see, I'm actually like say what I am. Like,
I'm gonna turn around and be like, wipe that smirk off your face, lady. You're still lucky we're letting you follow us.
Cirrus realizes he stepped on a hot button topic here and kind of moves away from that.
Warfrak looks at Lat and kind of shakes a finger at them, being like,
Don't cause drama in front of prominent people.
Too late.
Well,
It is a little late for that.
Lionrith, can you take a walk around in there for a moment, just so I can kind of see what's kind of going on? And he goes into the barrier, into this time distortion. He seems to have no problems at all.
Does it feel funny?
He shakes his head no, and then Cirrus nods, and like, if he had something to write on, he probably would write something down, but this guy's really smart, so he just probably just recorded it in his head. Then he eventually goes with what was suggested earlier and says, Lionrith, could you approach the shard there and see what that happens? And he looks unsure and looks to you, Sylvia.
If Cirrus thinks it's okay, go ahead.
He nods a little enthusiastically and then goes over to it. Eventually, he does touch it kind of with his snout, and then it reforms slowly and into a more complete, more geometric shape. It stays there briefly before everything returns to a color. All the rocks that you had floating there fall to the ground. Actually, no, they continue in the direction and end up pelting him a bit, but everything continues as if nothing else happened. Before the shard itself disintegrates and like fades into the ether, basically.
How is this happening?
And he's like, interesting. Okay, we have something else we can do. Come. We need to really dig into this here. And he heads back down the stairs.
Lionrith, did you know you could do that?
No.
That was cool.
Can I rush down this? Well, this might not be the right time to have a one-on-one with Cirrus again. Oh wait.
Yeah. I am
Proud of
again.
your
I'm assuming
mistake.
everyone follows him again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all very invested in this. Lionrith just did time magic.
So he heads down to the second floor, which are the portals again, and he heads over to just a random piece of the wall before he draws a symbol, and it reveals a lever, like several levers. He heads over to one of them and pulls it down. One of them goes back up, and everyone, it's has this weird, like, dizzying effect as while you don't feel like you're moving. The world shifts as if you stayed the same. So you're like here, and then it flipped upside down.
Whoa.
Nothing else changes. Like there's nothing physically different other than that you're just in a new room now. As the world kind of shifts around to this new location. Inside is a very similar room in that it's just stone walls, some decorations, but in the center is this kind of clear prism that is a pyramid that has 3 sides and a base that is solid.
Not pyramids again.
And he goes over to this apparatus that's nearby and proceeds to head over to what looks to be like a piece of like a black rock or something that he kind of has on a pole. He heads over to it and moves a magnifying glass in a specific direction pointing at this pyramid and does a little bit of magic, and it causes the black rock to spark up into this chromatic bluish color. In doing so, it seems to react with the lens and creates this beam towards the pyramid, which then breaks off into going into the solid black side, creating 3 beams of different magic, which from what seems like his description is the 3 sources, which is the divine, arcane, and nature magics. And he gestures out to them and says, so this is what we would see if we cast magic into this prism. So this rock here is attuned to raw magic and generally collects on it. It lasts for a short while here, and I use it for experiments if I need to specifically look at the sources. In doing so, you can kind of see the different properties of each one. You can kind of see how the nature one is causing plants to grow on that wall over there. And it'll affect the natural world just in the same way everything else does. Now, with it, we can probably determine where his magic is coming from. So let's he goes over to a cabinet nearby, and there's he opens it up, and there's a whole bunch of glasses, like almost look like reading glasses, but they're like kind of tinted a little bluish. He starts handing them out to everyone.
Ooh.
It's like, okay, so these glasses, they allow you to use what is essentially detect magic, and you're able to see kind of what's going on in the more ground level space. When you do, you can identify how, when you're seeing it, the schools of magic are shown, and all the beams have all the schools of magic in them. You can kind of see them more defined in the ray beams than the beam going to the pyramid. So one of the pyramids, like, again, if you had all the colors together, kind of like a white. With the beams, you can see each individual one. It's more looks like a rainbow.
I lean over to Fern and say, look, these glasses can do exactly what it takes Sylvia 10 whole minutes to do.
And they can do it for longer
Not
than
anymore because of my spell book. Jackass.
That was needlessly mean, and I'm here for it.
That was needlessly funny.
And so he goes back to his presentation, like completely missing this comment, and says, okay, so these glasses, they allow us to see it in this way. Now, and then the beam fades out as it seems like the energy of wherever that rock was fades. And let's take a look at what he can do. So he looks over to him, and for all of you up to this point, I should say that the last time he used detect magic and looked at him specifically, he had no magical residue. At this point, he has something.
Ooh.
So
Wait.
He has what? I missed it.
As residue.
He got icky fingers.
Wait,
Which is like
Cyrus,
mold or
I've
something.
I have used detect magic before and observed Linrith. He has not had anything on him before.
Yeah, so when you first spoke with me after my lecture, we did that, and I did not see anything from him, which is very interesting. So something happened between then and now that has ignited that. And we can't experiment with that specifically, but we can look to see what he has.
If you guys hurt Lionrith or poison him in any way, I'm going to cut all your throats.
No, we're just using his general energy. It's
Who are you talking to?
These two, whoever's putting these experiments on him.
We're not putting any experiments on him. We're talking about detect magic, which shows what type of magic something has.
Yeah. And whatever they just did, whatever he did that put this residue on his hands, I'm already upset about it.
Don't be overprotective.
He's a baby.
The residue.
You don't know anything about magic. It's okay. We are not going to let any harm befall him. Okay.
The residue was not put on him. The residue was not put on him. It was probably from the time Funky Wonky Oogly Woogly.
I have low intelligence and high smacks. Don't piss me off.
That's why I'm using words like a 5-year-old.
As such, we can kind of see what he does here. Lionrith, can you cast magic at all yet? And he looks confused, and then Lionrith takes that indicator. He's like, okay, well, we can do something very simple here. Why don't you breathe on? He finds a broom and sticks it out into the air. Can you blow onto this piece of this end of it? And he exhales, breathes into this ice crystals and form onto the end of the broom, the brush side, and also the surrounding area a little bit. And he holds that over to where that rock was, and thus causing the apparatus to ignite and proceeds to do the beaming process again. The process doesn't work as similarly as the other ones have, in that when it goes into it, it creates it's more of instead of a solid beam to the pyramid, it is a chromatic rainbow beam. He's like, interesting, okay. Let's change up this apparatus just a little bit here. And he holds the broom handle up to the solid aspect of it. And causes the pyramid itself to kind of glow in the more of a chromatic color scheme. He's like, interesting. Before it kind of solidifies into a more kind of grayish, whitish color. He's like, Well, and he turns to the rest of you. What do you think you saw here? Yes.
A rainbow.
Correct. But it did turn into something. Into a solid color, right?
You broke the rainbow?
I did break the rainbow.
Yes.
As such,
did we taste the rainbow?
We did not taste it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Don't go tasting random things.
Now, I think this might assist. Would someone like to assist me, specifically spellcasters?
I can assist you.
Aww.
Okay, Sylvia. Just cast a simple cantrip at the end of this pyramid, specifically the solid black part.
Okay.
Not fireball. At least ask how big the room is first.
Yeah, specifically something small. I don't.
Fireball.
We don't need to blind
I
ourselves
didn't
here.
ask how big the room is. I said I cast fireball.
No, I'm assuming firebolt is fine though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you cast firebolt right into it. It ignites into it, causing the pyramid to glow this kind of purplish kind of color. And he's like, so, this is very interesting. As we can see with what she has shown, this is arcane magic, as we displayed in the 3 dimensions that we saw earlier. This doesn't match the other color schemes. If you remember, the Divine's more golden, it's very sparkly. Arcane magic kind of has very regimented fractal like, but it's very purple. And then nature magic's green, causes plants to grow, that sort of thing. It's very simple. With his, it doesn't seem like it's a gray. It's a gray. It's nothing. It's definitely not raw magic. We would have a more chromatic scheme.
So does it have a completely different source then?
Then I would have to agree here that he's likely connected to a source that we're not aware of. Now, this leads us to a question of, have we figured out anything about his memory? Do we know anything about him?
Oh, I know.
Well, we do have a little more information that he comes from the place where Bethany flowers grow.
Which is Elysium.
Yes.
The place that's frozen, which he can walk through. Connection.
Interesting.
But as far as memory, we have not made any progress.
Yes.
I look at Lionrith, and then he doesn't like to go to places that are familiar for some reason. Something is weird. He actively tries to avoid it.
He also really likes chasing frogs.
Can't blame him on that.
As important.
Super helpful.
But if it's interesting, since if this is the case, I wonder.
It also seems like whatever magic is affecting his memory causes him physical pain when he gets close to what might be a piece of actual information about himself. At least it seems that way. I don't know if it's an actual effect or if it's just causing him stress when he gets close to that information.
Yes. Well, it's...
Question.
Yes.
You said that the surface water causes memory thing. Is it possible that he got dunked in a pool of water?
I don't think so, because access to the edge of reality is not entirely possible as of right now. There's a reason why it's there. I haven't been actually able to... It doesn't work. I don't just leave things broken. It just doesn't work. You can't do it.
Why not?
But if you... I don't know. That's not my specialty.
Well,
my specialty is the sources of magic, not getting the places of magic.
And Sylvia, and Cirrus, I remember Sylvia telling us back in Lux that when the Griffin Riders were investigating Lionrith, you actually performed a spell on him to try to figure out the source of his memory block.
No, this was a separate time. I went to one of his lectures, and Lionrith was with me, and I spoke with him after the lecture, and he tried to figure out what was going on with Lionrith and couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, but I'm trying to probe. I want to probe him to see if there's he had reflected on that, or if there was anything he didn't tell us because he didn't know us very well at that point. If maybe he remembers anything with that.
That's fine. My point is that those were two separate occasions. He went to the Griffin Riders for a little bit. Lionrith did, and then with Cirrus, those were two separate instances.
Okay.
Yes.
While the adults are talking, I want to see if I can get a word with Lionrith.
Okay, go for it right now.
Just kind of they're talking, wander over, crouch down. Do you know if you've remembered anything that you ain't told anybody? Not to be like, I don't trust you, but I know sometimes I remember things and I forget to tell people that I remembered things or I did things or something.
He starts to think a bit, and then he shakes his head no. He looks unsure. But then says, well, sometimes I get feelings, but I don't really remember anything specific.
You just get feelings?
Yeah.
Like what?
I like the place we saw earlier. That I like it. It feels bad.
It does feel bad.
another time it was sometime after when Sylvia lost her sister that I felt something, but I don't recall anything.
Was it good or bad?
It's kind of mixed.
Most things are. Well, if you do remember anything, we ain't gonna get mad or anything, so you can tell us.
He
But
smiles with a
don't
nod.
freak out about it. We'll figure it out.
At this point, he kind of adds into the other conversation and says, well, from what it seems like, I can't put my finger on it yet. If a brand new source such as this is created, then we have to there's a methodology to it. If there's a new source, that means there's a new divine of some sort. And people don't really interact with the divines other than, at least at this point, the speaker. She's the only one who interacts with these things. But things like this are very odd.
If Lineworth came from the celestial plane, then he must have a connection to that.
Yes, I agree. If any case, it could be that maybe he has a parentage of some sort. Most magical bloodlines have a connection of some sort, and from what we're seeing from him, he definitely has a magical bloodline of some type. Now,
so you're saying the gods make a new divine by having a kid?
It's possible. There's nothing inherently.
Two gods get it on and make another god? I thought it was just speakers ascending.
Okay, so the church has obscured a lot of how magic is related to the divines. Atheos creates gods, yes, but they are specifically attuned to specific things. He gives them power, and as such, they become these empowered people. Thus are these gods. Some people have attributed this same terminology to them as into Atheos himself. He is different. The church has attempted to separate them by calling their deities saints and sages, but they are different. The saints and sages specifically don't have power of their own. They are given to them, and thus have us rule over a specific thing. Specifically, such
but
as all those.
Isn't.
Correct. His magic is, again, I haven't specifically glimpsed a god and had experienced time with them to be able to understand how they work, but his effect isn't like how you would see someone who has celestial bloodline. He has his own source of it, and it seems like it's like if you have a bucket that doesn't have a lot of water in it. If you look into the bucket and you don't see any water in it, then you're going to assume it's just an empty bucket, there's nothing there. But when you see a little water in it, then you're like, okay, this is bucket maybe for water. If I would have a better picture if he had more water in him.
More magic.
Now,
I can get him a glass of water really quick.
Well, we're gonna get. I think if there's a way to get him a glass of water, but I might have to actually lean on your expertise, Horfrak, as this is more of a druid thing. How familiar are you with the druid circles?
I mean,
not the organization.
Like the circles where druids would whisper to each other and pass on knowledge? Yeah.
How familiar are you with their properties?
In terms of location or power or
both?
I mean, generally, most of the druid circles lie within the realms and areas where druids have the most influence, so forests, wilds, places where not a lot of people are, and flora and fauna are in charge. As far as powers go, they're all connected, just like all of nature's connected. I mean, druids would whisper, and their words would be heard on the winds across the lands, and there'd be great gatherings of druids all across Elysium, and they would whisper to each other, and they would share their knowledge. I mean, that's how our our religion was founded.
One thing that makes these druids difficult to learn is that they don't write a lot of things down, or at least give it to me, so I'd have very little knowledge on them. But from what I've heard and understand, they do have restorative properties. I assume that maybe you've gone to him before and didn't have it to work, but maybe it is possible that you take him to one of these and see what happens. Specifically, have him enter the stone ring themselves. They have magical properties I don't specifically know or understand. If I had specific material to read through, I would be able to interpret it more if I had time. But that's what I would have to guess. If you're able to find a way to add more water to the bucket, come back to me, and we should be able to talk about this further. But from what I see now, he is a very unique individual. You should be very careful with where he goes and what he does. I haven't met any creature that has been attuned to dunamancy in such a way.
We are certainly protective over him.
How did you stumble onto dunamancy?
Well, it's just different experimentation. I was looking into kind of how time and space were interacting with one another, specifically how to move between places, and found that you kind of have, when you're looking into moving to a place, you kind of have to understand time in one aspect and in the other. And upon doing so, in experimentations with haste and slow and whatnot, I discovered that there was a secondary source that haste belongs to. Haste isn't just an arcane magic, for example. It can be learned and is attuned to both divine and arcane sources. And when I delved into it further, it came from mostly this dunamancy that I've looked into. It's very interesting.
How long ago was that?
A few years ago.
I
I wrote my book assuming that dunamancy didn't exist, and I discovered it recently. That's why I presented it to the arcane community a few weeks ago, just to see what people thought and bounce ideas off.
I want to ask Sirius if you would have a word with me privately.
We sure can after this break. So we'll head to a break for a little bit, and we'll come right back, everyone. See you soon.
We're back, friends.
So, welcome back, everyone. I believe, Gorfrak, you had a question for Deacon. Yeah, he will take it. He'll stay off, walk off to the side as everyone else is kind of interacting. You can do this privately.
No, I mean like privately, like away from one person in particular, privately.
Yeah. I think he will. Yeah, he's like, we can go upstairs for a moment and speak.
Thank you. I'm sorry to be cryptic, but
No, you're not.
I wanted to follow up with you on something you asked for.
Hold up.
Okay. So you head upstairs to his laboratory.
First thing I do is I pull out my book, my druid tome, and I say, you had mentioned downstairs.
This is incredible.
Yeah. I brush his hand off of it. I hold on to it and I don't let him open it yet. This is, to my knowledge, the most comprehensive record of the druids I know of. My mentor got this to me at the cost of her life.
Yes, I know of this book. It is.
Yeah. So you might understand why I didn't want to pull it out in front of Elabella, which is who I wanted to talk to you about.
Yes. You have concern about her?
Well, that concern about her is folded into a concern about myself. When we first started camping with Elabella on our way here, she set up this really, honestly, extra for somebody who probably has to camp out a lot, tent. And our party, being naturally cautious of new people, was trying to investigate her accommodations. And to make a long story short, I was apparently in the tent for half an hour, maybe longer, and I have no recollection of it. And so I don't know if you would have the ability to help me with that, maybe see if there's something affecting me, because ever since we've left Lux, I've been off. And I just, you're obviously somebody of high talent and skill, and it seems like you are sympathetic to our plight, and so I don't know if you would be willing to help with that.
Well, I can certainly say this. From my understanding of different magics that could have affected you here, she probably, if you went in, it could be a number of things. It could be a magnificent manor, just in that it is something conjuration of her own design and whatnot. It's kind of hard to say and test without knowing, being there myself. That's an easy doorway. Sometimes individuals and wizards have their own pocket dimensions and portals and things. For example, this tower it does not confine to the space that it exists in on this plane. It is warped, and reality is not fully met here. That the space is folded here, which is why it led me to Dunamancy. As such, it's hard to narrow down. Now, memory-wise, there's very few things that deals with memory. Dunamancy has some adjacency to it. Nothing specific, but it does have some adjacency. But the only thing to my awareness is, unless your intellect was completely drained, that it would likely be some sort of memory modification. Such things can be cured by just powerful restorative magics, such as Greater Restoration.
What about, I've seen Sylvia use, I mean, it's not something I do, but like counterspell or dispel magic?
No, dispel magic, it's different. So, again, with the different sources, the spell magic can get rid of the effect going, but if it already has been completed, then it is no longer being actively done. Think of it as you can use magic to build the house, but dispelling the magic that built the house won't cause the building to disassemble itself. It's already been done. So that's where Greater Restoration kind of comes in. things that are currently affecting you or have already been affecting, like a disease, it's actively affecting you, then you can use that to kind of get rid of it, to cure things and whatnot. Memory ailments are very, very difficult to untangle and unwind if you didn't have something like that, but it can fix it, because you can't remove memories. You can only cover them up, as they do form connections and bonds with one another, and unless you completely break the connections between the people that you made those memories with, it's impossible.
Do you think that in the same way we're probably going to be restoring Lionrith with the Druid Circle, do you think that would also have those restorative properties on myself?
I would certainly think so. I wouldn't see a reason why not. Unless she has some sort of powerful magic that I'm not aware of.
I mean, all I remember seeing was a stone wall and a door with nothing behind, a wooden door with nothing behind it. I mean, replaying it in my mind right now, I snuck in a different animal form. I regained my personal form. I fell through the door and then was I walked through the door and was outside of the tent. And I don't even remember seeing anything behind the door. I mean, if I had to guess, it was probably just the back fabric of the tent. Which, I mean, in and of itself is strange, because there was no bed, there was no table, there was no chests of her belongings.
Let me look through his spell list here just to see kind of how familiar he is with it.
What level is Cirrus Deacon?
28.
He has the ability to stop time. So at minimum, he has a 9th level spell.
Oh, okay. Shit! He's really strong.
He can stop time, which was canon in Act 1.
Right. Oh, shit.
So he thinks about it some more and says, well, I don't know for sure, but going to one of these Druid circles would be certainly helpful. Since you are going to them, I can probably send you maybe to them. My magic's a little bit off today. But if you give me some time to read this book while you're out, then this will give me some time to look it over and read through it. But this leaves another issue, which it seems like a friend of yours may have eaten things they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Let me make this very clear for you maybe to discuss with them. I don't know if who ate what or whatnot, but if they did eat any of them, do let me know. Some of them have different effects over later courses of time, but for the sake of ease, if you ate fairy fruit, then her days are numbered.
Yeah,
as like 3 days probably.
Okay. Can we table this specifically, and can we bring this back up, because I wasn't with them in the Fae. I stuck back and I talked to Elabella a little bit, because I'm still.
Yes.
As an urchin, I didn't want to oust her very first thing, but I'm also keeping her at arm's length, which is why I'm talking to you privately. I'm happy to leave the tome with you for study, but I ask that you not record it in any way, because as you mentioned, Druid history is for the Druids, and while extraordinary times, like the releasing of the Goddess of Destruction, call for extraordinary measures. Yeah, call for extraordinary measures. I don't think I could call myself a druid if I allowed a copy of this to be in circulation, even with someone as renowned as you. And so I
I can
ask that
respect that.
you respect that. Thank you.
It would definitely help a gap in my knowledge of the sources, as I have a lot of knowledge, and which was difficult to obtain, about Ethos and Valdara. I have very little on Gaia. As for one, their druids are hard to find, and they don't like talking with me.
Well, I've been a druid for my past X number of years, because I don't know my exact age, because we still haven't established that.
You lived a long time. Your age is fine.
Yeah, I've been a druid a long time, and I don't know a lot about Gaia either. I mean, her whole thing is being just as elusive and unruly as nature itself, and so part of my druidic practice is just, my understanding of Gaia is always changing. Like, in the last month, I've realized how, while she hasn't lost power, her followers certainly have.
Yes, it is concerning. Well, let's go back to the group, and then we can convene on what you guys should do next here.
Thank you.
You guys head back down, and anything happened while those two were gone?
I successfully dropped and then recalled a spit 4 full feet.
Wait, I thought we weren't on the roof anymore.
Who knows? I've lost track of
You're in a
myself.
building right now.
Somewhere.
Yes.
We don't actually
wanna
know
be
how
hanging
tall
out by
Let
Let.
is. Could have been nearly all the way to the ground and then just pulled right back up. Who knows?
I want to be hanging out by Let, avoiding Sylvia and Kai.
I would love to know Elabella's impression of this situation.
Just watching with intent. Her
She's
expression really
probably
hasn't changed.
taking notes, thinking this is some kind of like normal monk behavior. This is just Let being an idiot.
I probably would use this opportunity to strike up a conversation with her and say, so you're an archaeologist, but you have some background with Arcana as well?
Well, to uncover the secrets of buried beneath the earth, it is good to have abilities to speak with the deceased, to uncover writings that were long lost, or finding them, and being able to do those sort of things. It also helps when you can live for hundreds of years that you pick up a thing or two. So it just comes with the territory.
So you have studied specifically the arcane magic?
I'm a wizard, so yes.
Did we know that before?
I don't
No,
think
I
she ever
actively
specifically
avoided
stated it.
learning anything about
Okay,
her.
fair enough.
You just knew that she was an archaeologist. She was in the tournament, but she was
Right.
outed in the first round. In the second half, not the first. And that's kind of was it. Like that's all you really knew about her.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we've been so focused on your archaeology that we didn't even think about you being a wizard.
It happens. Most people kind of forget that, and I do have some prominence within that community. I'm not really a studier of magic as Mr. Deacon is. I am more of someone who uses it as a tool when need be.
I guess I don't really know why we didn't figure out that she is a literal wizard when she straight up just like made Gorfrak disappear in that tent and then just gaslit her into believing it never happened.
We as characters do not know that.
Oh yeah. Shh. God, Piper,
Still
stop giving up secrets.
Still waiting for my scene with Elabella in the tent. That's never coming.
The two others come down the stairs and rejoin the group. And Deacon leads with this. Well, there are a few things that we should probably address quickly. One, if you ate anything while you're in the plains, all those ingredients were not made for ingestion by anyone on this plane. Doing
It's
so,
Cornfrog's fault. She made me eat the onion.
okay.
Onion.
And then I might have really fucked up.
Okay.
Might?
Well, it just looked so good. And nobody was looking, and I was really curious because I saw the leprechaun eat it. And so I tried some of the fairy fruit. But it was really good. I didn't freeze like the onion. It was really good.
Okay.
Now that's
So,
all you can eat.
for everyone who may have had misconceptions about my tests that I do, it does
Why
weed
the
out
fuck
people.
would you put something dangerous in a test like that?
All of it was dangerous in one way or another. What are you talking
Do
about?
that?
Where was the leprechaun?
In the
Feywild.
Priorities.
Feywild's not
You're
spirit
the one
plane.
that left the hat for the leprechaun.
You gave it to him with candy.
Wait a minute,
really
but he
don't
was an
know.
actual leprechaun?
Yes.
Yes.
That wasn't a joke.
I literally just picked an item. I was not paying attention.
Yes, that was actual leprechaun.
I literally
This has
wasn't paying
loot
attention.
energy.
It does. Oh
I
no.
need Let to be present. I need Rose to help Let be present.
Oh no. I literally just picked an item. Somewhere in my brain, leprechaun must have gotten stuck and I jumbled it out as a good suggestion. I'm gonna go see a doctor.
Oh God.
So, we'll continue on here. Well, I'm going to. The test is again twofold. If ruffians proceed to come in, it makes it difficult for them to actually get to anything valuable. And if they're smart enough to figure everything out, then I get free stuff out of it. I get raw magic to experiment with. I need that to conduct a lot of experiments. That's actually very valuable to do.
Faith, you might mute yourself for a little
And-
bit there, lady.
What's a sneeze?
And the properties, everything was in the books in there. They all told you if you weren't aware of it. Big thing of the story is that I hate to tell you this. I want you to understand. I had hoped that maybe you wouldn't have thought about it this way, but you don't have much longer to live. Does anyone have like a piece of food? Anything? Candy? Whatever?
I have
Candy.
candy.
Didn't you stuff a bunch of rolls in the bag of holding?
Have that piece of candy, please.
I'm gonna hand her a piece of candy very suspiciously.
Take it. What?
Eat it.
What flavors did you give me? You didn't give me all the bad flavors, did
Not gonna
you?
matter. Just eat it.
Okay, I eat it.
You taste it. It is. You taste nothing, and as you start to kind of it has a physical presence, but then it turns into this kind of dusty, ashy, taste to it, completely disgusting, revolting to you. As you spit it out, it's also dusty, ashy. It's
Let you gave me a bad piece of candy.
I gave you rainbow bubble gum. That's the best kind.
It is. I would agree.
I don't know about that. Look at that thing. That don't look natural.
Yes, because you ate
It's
the fruit.
rainbow bubble gum. It's delicious.
Oh, it's from the fruit. Oh no.
You are now forever altered.
What?
Yes, it's you. Someone who's not understanding the arcane arts, all those ingredients in there are extremely rare. It took me years to find and locate every aspect of where those are located and be able to get them somewhat relatively.
And you
easy.
didn't think to have a big sign that said "Do not eat"?
Well, the people that eat it,
Garrett-
I hate to tell you, they don't need to be speaking with me.
I was gonna say it's intended to weed out people. What do you expect?
How is this man equal parts incredibly helpful and incredibly rude?
Again, he's like the most famous wizard on the continent, so.
I'd like to throw in that while I'm still very stuck on the fact that he had a giant fucking portrait of himself, I'm starting to like him because I find him entertaining.
There is no cure for it unless you have the power of a god such as Wish. No wizard is able to master that spell that I know of, unless you're able to deal with the Fae themselves, but that's an entirely separate journey entirely.
You don't.
I'm gonna die?
From starvation, probably. Unless you harvest some of the fruit, but that will only last you for so long. It does extend your life, however.
No, it doesn't. It's gonna kill me.
No, it doesn't kill you. You have chosen to partake in their fruit, and thus you are now connected to them forever. It is a connection and
Why
bond that cannot
isn't
be
there a
broken.
sign on the tree or something? The leprechaun ate it. Is he gonna die?
He's a part of that world. Yes, he's fine.
Oh.
He can eat it. All the creatures there can eat it.
A warning would have been nice.
They were in my books.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
read.
Well,
After you ate the onion, you thought eating another thing from one of the planes was a good idea.
It looked really good, and I was curious, and it was kind of a
After the
toss-up.
onion.
I almost ate the
Instead
apple.
that would have been bad
instead
as
of-
well. That causes blindness for at least a day.
Oh,
Oh. Okay. So we've berated Fern for the choice enough. Okay, so you said a wish spell. You said the Fae themselves reversing it. Is there anything that could be done on the material plane? I mean, you said that upstairs you said that your tower is outside of the normal laws of this plane. Could she stay here? Could you do anything for her to at least
She will
sustain her?
So, yes, Let.
What if we go and talk to the leprechaun that I gave candy and a hat to complete him? Do you
That
think
guy's
he could
gone.
fix it? He's gone?
Like, that's like you going up to someone on the road and being like, hey, is that guy still there tomorrow, a week from now?
All right, fair enough. I guess I decided that they lived in some kind of like Karok forest from Breath of the Wild, and they just all kind of knew each other.
No. They, again, they're spirits of sorts.
That
So,
sounds
anyway.
like a full world with kings and queens and stuff.
I do not know. This is not my specialty. I don't master alchemy or ingredients and the like. I'm
whose
curious for them.
specialty is it?
My specialty is the magic, how it functions. I don't know anyone who delves into alchemy, as it doesn't partake to me. They
Could
tend to be
we-
a little bit outside of. We don't intersect often.
Dimitri's gonna kill me.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I don't think he will. But I would figure something out. I don't know anything that can resolve that.
Figure something out, says the smartest man in the entire world. Who didn't put a sign on his fucking fruit?
So not my fruit, it's the fairies.
You're the one who said you have to go harvest some.
Yeah. Well, all of it requires risk and understanding how to navigate it. As such, anyone who does enter my tower knows how to do it.
Control.
I can't.
Like, I'm always thinking about eating. I always want to know what things taste like.
Cirrus, you know about freezing time. I mean, you've done it on a grand scale. Is there a way to reverse time, freeze someone in time?
I've only gotten to stop it. However, reversing time is certainly a possibility. I just don't. It's okay. So you could. I don't think you could do it over a specific area. You would have. You could go. If we had the capabilities of time travel, you would have to. The whole world would have to change for you. You couldn't do it in a localized setting. And if you did, the power that would wield is very different than I don't know.
But Linus went back in time. He made the crystal reform and then disappear.
That was more of a stabilization. He think of it as if scales were tipped off in one direction and you couldn't move them. He balanced the scales out, causing it to flow properly, like if something got blocked in the river, like if you put a dam up. He removed the dam and it caused it to flow again. Except you need the dam there.
Fern made.
What if I forgot that it ever happened?
That's not you weren't there for this, but we talked about memory things. When memories are created, you can never get rid or forgotten of memories. They are inherently tied to you and the people around them. As such, they're unbroken. They can be hidden, but they cannot be broken. So you can forget, but the memories are still there and remain. As such, that's probably as similar as happened with Lionrith. He has his memories, but something is preventing them from being accessed. Whether or not the connections will always be there.
I can't believe the stupid impulse I had to lick the fucking dirt, basically, is gonna kill me.
To be fair, I once licked a road and lived. It wasn't that stupid.
Thank you. That doesn't really help. I mean, I knew I was gonna die first out of all of us, but I really didn't think it was gonna be this soon.
Well,
what if I went to the Fae? You said the Fae themselves could reverse it. What if I just went and tried that?
It is a possibility. You could go in there. The problem is you need to find someone of significant power. I don't study the planes. I know of them and how they kind of interact. Yes.
We have a suggestion from the chat to set a trap for the leprechaun, and if he is caught, he has to grant a wish. Is anybody proficient in leprechaun capturing?
It's actually a really good idea.
It is.
I don't know.
I have an idea, but it's not one that we've discussed, so I want to talk about it after the stream.
You should probably throw it out now.
I would say now is the time.
Okay, Cirrus, are you familiar with the spell Magic Jar?
He is. I am not.
Okay, I've got it pulled up, and so I'll just tell you. It allows you to extract the soul of a person and put it into a jar. Could Cirrus help us extract Fern from her body? And could we have Sir Thomas? Or could he build us some kind of warforged?
Sir, the aspect of
Or could we build some kind of warforged Fern that can still adventure with us, that is no longer a physical humanoid?
So he gets into this deep thought here, and he didn't say anything because he's processing. Alabel's actually speaks up first and says, "I would believe that is a possibility. That is a very odd suggestion. I've seen it in some older cultures, but certainly a possibility."
I mean, in the Druid world, we talk all the time about people, beings they never die. They just are circulated through the planes through nature into different forms. And so I don't know if we could pull that off unless we went the arcane route with Magic Jar, but if we found a form that she could take on, could we use this spell to transfer her person from her physical shell that's affected to a different physical shell?
I like my form. I like it. I'd rather not
like
lose
living?
it.
Do you
Yeah.
want to live or die?
Yeah, okay.
And I
There you
mean,
go.
I don't want to be a
If we
floating
get-
orb.
well, it doesn't have to be a floating orb, but if Cirrus is able to use Magic Jar, we could hold you there until we fix your body or find a better body that you like.
We could build you one. It could be like Frankenstein.
I don't know
I don't
if that
know.
still deals with the connection that has been established. I think in the end,
According
you could
to-
get more bodies.
If we're rules lawyering it, the only action you can take is to project your soul up to 100 feet out of the container, either returning to your body or attempting to possess a humanoid's body.
And
I'm gonna
I
go
would
to
Oh,
most,
this is full on Orochimaru vibes.
I would most,
Yeah.
So I'll talk out of character here. But this is what we kind of conveyed with him and Elabella a little bit. It would work into if she died, you could get another body and continue the process. The problem is that she still has a connection to the Fae. Until
Is
that
it
connection is
like-
removed.
is the
If we
fate
got her a body that didn't require physical sustenance to continue,
then yes, that would work. But then you'd have to go with if you don't have a physical body anymore.
Warforged Fern, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I
but
like the trap idea.
the Fey fruit is, I would think, a physical, like on a soul level, she might be connected with the Fey for the rest of time, but the fruit is a physical thing. It's not her soul
So,
saying, I don't want to
The
eat
way
this. It's her.
the way that these are specifically constructed, that's kind of how it's designed. Is that it's a binding pact that while it is physical affecting, it's connected to you, as in your soul and being. The other thing is that if you go the leprechaun route, that means you leave this plane. You don't get to go in and then move all the aspects if you just step in like before. You'll be affected
Oh.
by everything that goes in there.
I was just
Yeah,
envisioning like
no.
a hop in, set a trap, hop out, wait for something to happen.
No, that's not.
Can Lionrith go set the trap and then come back out? Is he like above all this as
Nope,
like a
this
little baby
is-
god?
This is a situation of you kind of have to go in there to do it.
Yeah, and given the state of the rest of the world, that does not seem responsible.
It's a good idea, but the key piece of that is that you do have to go in there, and then that time is wacky. So
Well,
again, you could
that's-
put it out there, but then in the time that you set it there, and then you come back to it, it could be a year. You could have caught one and then just escaped.
Well,
Because
that's
I know that Sierra said he hasn't researched the Fae, but because he's time obsessed, does he know about the time difference between the Feywilds and the material plane?
It's not set. It's like think of it as waves, as in there's times of it that's going to be sped up, slowed down. You can never guarantee, which is why the DM have been saying that if you go in there, you don't know when you're coming out.
campaign altering event, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. So, sometimes if you also catch a fairy or whatever, or a fae, they have to some extent, they usually have control over how the time works because they can choose when they pop out into our world if it's been 10 minutes or if it's been 100 years. If we found a fae, could we hook onto them and make it so we connect it? If we said, hey, we want to come back out of here in 10 minutes, would they be forced? Could we force them to like do that for us? Like, is that?
This is a situation where everybody in the room does not have the expertise for this. So
also, Faith, I think it's important to mention that Nathaniel has said that while the spirit realm draws a lot on Fey lore, it doesn't operate verbatim.
I know that's. I know that's why I asked, because there's a shit ton of aspects of Fey lore that we haven't even brushed on, so I didn't know if that was one that was aligned or that you tossed out. Yeah, as a DM,
it helps. It's always worth asking. But yeah, it's something that you don't know of, just because, again, if it hasn't been evident, Cirrus understands magic specifically, not how it's applied everywhere. So he's like a super wizard, but if you ask him about how the planes work, how they function, he's not an expert or researcher in that. And he uses that to get ingredients just for his work. That's all that stuff's there for. Yes.
Am I good to talk in character for a minute?
Go for it.
Well, before we keep talking about mistakes, I have a solution. You should leave me here. I'll go into the Fae and, I don't know, trap one and ask for help, or just look for a solution, and then you don't have to worry about the control of time there, because it'll just be me. And maybe when I come out, it'll be 200 years later, and it'll just be Sylvia still alive. But at least you guys get to keep saving the world.
It's an inappropriate time to laugh. That was just really funny.
Orfrak might still be around, depending on what Nathaniel allows.
But will definitely be dead. Both by the fact that they are a human and an idiot.
I turn to Fern, and I don't think she's much shorter than me, but I get down at like eye level, and I like grab her, and I'm like, Fern, we're not giving up on you. You made a really hard you made a choice that puts us in a really hard position.
A really stupid choice, a really impulsive choice. One of the choices that Dimitri would have always said was
we don't need to dwell on that. We all have done things in our past that we regret. While this is their very recent past, it's time to move forward. I know we don't know a lot about this. I know we don't know a lot about the Fae. But just 2 weeks ago, we saved the kingdom. We helped make sure that Lux didn't fall and Elysium didn't fall into more chaos than it already is. While we didn't stop Veldara from being released, I don't think we were going to do that, even if we had all the answers and knew everything. We're in the same situation now. The odds are stacked against us, but that doesn't mean we just give up and we just walk out of Lux. Or that
then
doesn't
what
mean
do you suggest? We put her in a jar?
I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but we're not leaving.
Well, I know, but we have to make a decision soon. We can't sit here for weeks.
I'm not saying we sit here for weeks.
If we put her in a jar, I call dibs on carrying her.
I don't want to be in a jar. I'd rather risk my life in the Feywild than be in some jar.
I mean, I don't like this suggestion either, but I do think that's probably the only way she has a chance of not dying.
But I don't...
Like, I might die in the Feywild, yeah, or the Spirit Realm, sorry. But, like, I'll die for sure if I stay here. Because I'm an idiot.
I'm going to toss out at least this suggestion, because at least I know how to do it, sort of, is that if you want, I could physically stop time and then pull you out when you have a resolution, but you would be in there for who knows how long.
Yeah, what if they never find a solution and I just get frozen for forever and I come out 500 years later and the world's completely different and everybody I know is dead?
Breathe.
Isn't that the same result as what you just suggested a minute ago, where you go into the Feywild and just come out
Right.
200 years later? Same
At least
thing.
then I would have some control over it. And it wouldn't just be me waiting to be rescued like
When you hope,
some
because if none of
storybook
them will help you
princess.
get out in time, then you're still screwed, and you have no control over it,
also-
regardless.
How are we gonna be? How are you gonna be able to escape the spirit realm? How are we gonna be able to pull you out of the spirit realm?
Oh, does the portal not go both ways?
It
Well,
does, but that would also you have to find your way back.
Oh,
Right.
Is that hard?
It's not like it's open constantly. He opens it and closes it. So it would have to be
Right.
something of, which isn't hard for you to do. You just send a message to him and then you know, like, hey, open the. But at the same time, is he still alive to open the portal?
I mean, I could just stick around the
Right.
tree and, I don't know, talk to whoever comes by.
Just as a DM here at this point, I think you do need to come to a conclusion today.
I know.
So
I know.
whatever decision you make,
Oh,
it should be today.
I think we freeze her in time, or we put her in a jar, because like as Gorfrak is stubborn enough that we're not conceding defeat yet.
I'm not conceding defeat. I just don't want to be stuck in another place where I can't do anything.
But out of character, if Nathaniel has said that as a party we would die in the spirit realm.
Good point, actually.
I mean, I know we're talking about certain death / limbo, but half dead is better than full dead.
Right. I was like over here. Go for it.
Sorry, even if you don't want to be stuck where you're not doing anything, your character's not dead. There's a slim, knowing
Right.
Nathaniel, extremely slim margin for us to come save your ass.
There's always a
But
way, just
Nathaniel
not
lets
now,
us-
basically.
we can't do that if you're dead.
If Nathaniel lets us put you in an orb, you can at least come along with us and still experience the world until
It
we
would
find
be
you a
funny to
body.
like be a warforged, keep leveling up, eventually come back to my body. That would be weird.
We'll say if you need a warforged, though, you need to find an artificer.
Ah, shit. Yeah, there's a whole lot
It would be
of.
temporary, and again, you can't actually do anything.
Would Sirius be open to giving us Sir Thomas or something similar to Sir Thomas that could eventually become the core of the Warforged body?
So he did not make it; it was gifted to him, and it uses specifically the aspect of intelligence. So it's not
Yeah.
designed with that in mind.
We're gonna have the aspect of intelligence for a while. I don't think we're gonna resolve finding Valdara anytime
Don't
soon.
eat it.
Yes,
No, but what I'm saying is it's using the aspect of intelligence as its source of how it, like, Sir Thomas is the aspect of intelligence.
So if
He's
we
very
put-
dumb for the aspect of intelligence.
He's a rock.
That's what I was saying earlier.
if we put
He's
Fern
He's
on
a,
that-
if you put it on that level, he's a smart rock.
He is a smart rock. Okay, that's fair.
true.
if we put Fern and the aspect back into the mechanoid, would that equate into some kind of salvageable Fern that comes along with us?
I just had the
It's what we
funniest
can-
thought. Oh my god.
Like her and Sir Thomas fighting all the time.
Fern's gonna Alphonse Eric this. Alphonse.
Elric.
Yeah.
You had it, Alphonse Elric.
It would
Big guy.
function weirdly, but then again, you can't cast spells anymore.
Oh shit.
You're, like-
I can't?
Okay, how do you do your somatic components? Where's your material components for your?
Not Sir Thomas as a Warforged.
No, I was talking about Sir Thomas specifically. As a Warforged, you have to spend time to look for that.
Right. But I
But-
just
But in this scenario, Fern's alive. been able to travel with us.
Is this that surprising solution, DM?
Here's what I'm going to say. You can, but you're basically not playing Fern. Like you're
Right.
you're not really going to participate in combat. You can't do any magic.
Or is a Warforged?
No, we're talking about Sir Thomas.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You're thinking too soon of like I get Sir Thomas. Next day we're doing Warforged. This is all the solutions require time. So you're not playing the game for a large portion of times you find Artificer, and Artificers are not
common,
abundant, especially with Warforged.
An Artificer.
I mean, but you still have to build a machine and the resources to do that.
I was more laughing at myself. Continue.
But no, I like the idea. It's just I want to get off this is an immediate solution. This is still you'll be able to play Fern, just
diet Fern.
Yeah, like
not a useful way of playing Fern. Yes, I know.
Anybody else starting to develop like a complex to never do anything in this game again?
This is definitely mitigating my impulse control. I've learned something.
When you go into a powerful wizard's tower, you don't touch everything.
It's like you don't even know me.
Yeah, and that's a solution I need to think of. Is that
I love to press buttons.
Yeah, you can press as many as you want. Just be careful where you press them.
How dare my actions have consequences?
Yeah, like again, this wouldn't be an issue if this was like level 13, 14. Like, you guys, like, if you were at that point in the game, yeah, you guys probably would have had no issue with this. But this is you're level 7. And you went to the most powerful wizard on the continent's tower, and then...
Yes, you've said this. I know. I'm just in the bargaining part of the stages of grief. So let me have it for a minute.
So. Somebody remind me how many steps there are after that one?
1. Acceptance.
Oh, thank God, we're almost there. We're almost there,
which we need to resolve before we end the stream.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we are running over time.
Madison, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think it's your character you choose will support you.
If we put you in a jar, I'll carry you every day with joy. If you choose to die, we'll accept that too.
Can I talk through the jar, or is it just a jar of Fern that you guys are carrying?
According to the spell text,
does the body die, or does Deacon freeze the body?
Your body falls into a catatonic state as your soul leaves it and enters the container you used for the spell's material component. While your soul inhabits the container, you are aware of your surroundings as if you were in the container space. You can't move or use reactions. The only action you can take is to project your soul up to 100 feet out of the container, either returning to your living body and ending the spell, or attempting to possess another body. Which, in my opinion, we should use a separate jar, and you should project yourself into Sir Thomas. So that way you
you will lose your body because it's put in a catatonic state, but does not preserve it.
But so your body could he freeze the body in time?
You could.
Like, can we combine those solutions?
So I think it's the same problem. Then it's you're having to wait till you're sort of playing Fern to wait for a solution.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, if you freeze her, that means you're assuming you're going back to the body. I
mean, my kind of hope was that, like, freeze body, have soul, eventually stick soul in machine, and use the machine until we find a way to fix the body, and then abandon the machine for the body.
Then
I'm also concerned.
Here's what I'm going to at least lay down, because I know you guys are going down this route, and I see as you want to do this, but I don't think you're going to want to do it 10 weeks down the road, because you guys are really on this thing. You're going to get a quick solution. This is
not a quick solution.
It's going to be back in September, and then you're going to get a solution, and you're not going to have been playing. So I want you to remove away from this.
Right.
You need either
my thought was that you have a jar of Fern, you stick Fern in the bag of holding, and haha, new character.
Then again, why don't you just have her in temporal stasis and then wait?
Valid, I guess.
That's the same process.
Yeah, you're right.
My other concern.
I love the jar idea. It's
a good idea,
but it is very much
I was thinking it would let me return to Fern sooner, but that doesn't seem like it's the case. Like by the time we found a metal body, we would be strong enough to just fix the problem.
Yeah.
Also, again, putting her holding, or does that violate the rules of do not climb into a bag of holding?
I think she's fine. It's a why do this complicated method for a same solution a minute ago that I'm at least tell you mechanically will have the exact same effect. You're just casting a 6th-level spell to do it.
Because in honor of our friend Kevin, we must do the most complicated route to
Oh my gosh.
Wait a second. I have a question that doesn't line up. If only very complicated things can solve this, how can a character who's only 13 or 14th level solve this?
So as you progress through the story, there are characters that could help you with this.
Help you. Okay, I'm with you.
That would have resolved this actually extremely easily.
Damn it, Nathaniel.
And at that point in the story, because I'm going to give you a thing here because of what you've done already, you'll gain a level here in a second, like when you guys complete this area. But this is the situation, is that because you completed it, you have to make milestones through the plot. The plot provides solutions, but this is also designed to be played out in any order you'd like, and whichever route that you want in any order. As such, we'll keep reiterating, this tower is extremely powerful. The stuff in it.
Right.
Again, you guys probably shouldn't have fought a clay golem because that was deadly, but that's because that was in this tower.
We had to go get the aspect of creation first.
You mean of intelligence?
Intelligence first. Cut me doing it now. Yeah, I'm for the freezing plan. And the desperate hope that we don't level up too fast before we find a solution, so that I'm not following a giant experience gap when I would really like to come back as Fern. But we'll see.
Is that the plan then? Are we freezing her?
Yeah, let me have this part. So if you ain't gonna let me go solve my own problems, I guess I get frozen and hope somebody comes back for me.
I'm gonna walk up to her and I'm gonna grab her sweaty, meaty little hand and I'm gonna say, be safe in there, and also here's some candies. You can hold on to them and give them back to me when you come out.
Oh, I have something for you then. I'm gonna reach into my bag and check my inventory to make sure I still have this thing. I give them the ring that I got from Sylvia's parents.
Just as a thing, if you're giving your stuff away. The shield is not that shield. It is just a normal +1 shield.
Yes.
Also,
and the bag of holding.
The bag of holding, Fern, because there's some important.
Oh yes, no, I give them the Wondrous Orb is mine, and Regulus things are in there, and so's Dimitri's things. So don't leave those. Also, maybe take out the extra elemental ingredients we took, because I don't know if I trust anything with that anymore. There's some fancy appetizers still in there, and I think Let dumped a drink in there from the gala.
Yeah, that's mine. Nobody drink it. I'm saving it for later.
It's just soaked into the bread that we put in there.
Oh, and most of my money's in there too. You can do what you want with it, except maybe save 50 gold, because there's somebody I have to give that to later.
I'm not going to spend your money, Fern.
I mean, I'm not gonna use
I'm
it.
not rude.
And Fern,
I'm not
we'll
rude,
keep
and
looking-
also, you've struggled enough. I'm not stealing from you.
Yeah.
And Fern,
Don't
we'll keep
go back to
looking for
Pegaset.
Dimitri.
Please.
Okay.
Fern, we
Or if
might
you do,
have-
don't tell anybody that you've ever met a half-orc from Pegaset.
Well, I don't think that they'll ever forget about you because of the
Just be
welcome we
happy
left them.
that if and
When
when we
set
go
everything
there,
on fire.
you might not have to come.
Does
Good
Mochi
point.
have thoughts to share? Because he looks like there's a lot
No,
on his
he's
mind.
just, like really in my face right now.
Don't forget, please come back.
I'm gonna give Fern a hug, and I'm gonna like really aggressively pat her on the back, like I always do to people that's far too hard, and go, "Well, I won't forget about you, and I'll be back in probably
And
what'll feel
don't-
like 12 seconds to you, but about 400 hours to me."
Don't tell Dimitri. If
I
you,
don't
when
even know
you
him.
see him again, I should have messaged him. I don't want him to know.
Fern, he might be able to help.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thought.
I give Fern a big hug. And
How are you
I
gonna talk
write-
to people without me? Who's gonna heal you guys when you get hurt, when you go charging into a stupid battle?
We'll figure it out. You just have to go freeze and not die. You're
Yeah,
the one
I'll
who
miss
needs
you.
to be concerned.
I'll
Lionel,
see you soon.
what if I get out and you're all fancy or something and you don't know me anymore? What if you forget me like you forgot everything?
I don't think anyone can
I
ever
was
forget
already
you.
fancy, so
You'll probably be
Y'all
no
are-
different.
y'all
You're
are
an elf.
taking this-
I'm convinced that you got born just as stuffy and pretentious as you was now.
Y'all are taking this moment that should be emotional and just
This
I'm
is
still
how
gonna
I
miss you,
deal with
Sylvia.
all of life, Mr. Taylor.
no, feel your feelings, be sad.
No, I
Hard pass.
refuse.
The expression.
Fern, I promise we won't forget about you, and we will come back for you.
I knew you liked me secretly.
I kind of awkwardly go up and like pat her on the shoulder and go, "It was lovely meeting you. I'm sorry we couldn't adventure together."
It's okay. This is kind of the best you'll ever know me. This is like the kind of things I get into is I get in way over my head and usually try to run away from my problems. I'll tell you the whole story about Pegasus sometime.
I look forward to it. And don't worry, I'll protect these idiots for you. I'll make sure they don't get hurt.
All right, if
Thanks.
you want a hint of emotion, we'll step behind the group as they're saying goodbye and pull their hat over their eyes.
Oh, the anime!
Aw.
The anime!
I think this is time where Seer Deacon kind of comes up and says, "Well, it may not be extravagant, but we probably should do a more empty room, which is having another space, and we can get that there."
I'm
Sylvia,
sorry
I'll
I'm
need
gonna
your
be a
assistance.
statue in your house for so long.
Yes.
Thanks for letting me do this. I'm really sorry.
I have. Part of me is curious to see how long it'll last, and I'll be here.
Don't tell her that.
Bitch.
As in, okay, so the process, which is if I destabilize time briefly, which is what I'm going to be doing, which is very similar to how it was above, then I don't know if it will be there for an infinite amount of time or eventually would it resolve itself.
Please be nice.
And if
And
it
don't
fixes
freak her
itself,
out any
then
more
we
than
can, I
necessary.
can recast it. It's no issue.
Okay.
If nothing,
Okay.
we'll start rolling a d20 every day to see if the field maintains itself or not. I'm gonna scream.
No, I'm adding flavor to the moment. So he leads you into a kind of a room that has some boxes and things. He scoots it out of the way so there's enough space. And he begins casting the thing that Zeglidus interrupted prior.
Did he say he needed my assistance?
He did. And he begins to form this crystal around, like close to you. And then he looks to you, Sylvia, and says, "Okay, it's at I believe a sufficient size. Now just blast it with anything you have."
I grab my holy symbol and raise a hand.
Like fireball blast or firebolt? How?
Firebolt. Just anything will work. It's pretty weak.
Okay.
Do hit the button for that though.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh.
Actually, you're killing it today. Yeah, so it breaks and then creates, like, I would say about a 10-foot radius bubble that freezes the time in that spot, which relative to everything else isn't that big. But from that point forward, Fern is frozen in time. And that's where we'll end today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We also post all these to YouTube if you did miss any of them, or you jumped in partway through and then you're trying to figure out what's going on. These come up whenever a friend of ours decides to post them. So
I'm really inconsistent. I'm sorry, but they're usually up within a week, okay?
So when they are, just keep an eye out for them. We also post a few other things on there if we have an off week. So check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/downtime encounters, and you put a underscore in between. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we will maybe see you next week. We'll see.